Hello everyone, myself Vinay Kumar M. I am actually pursuing PhD in physics. So in this particular YouTube channel, I will be teaching physics, chemistry and mathematics starting from 8th standard till 12th standard. So if you want to learn physics, chemistry and mathematics, then please do subscribe to my channel. So in this particular video, I will be teaching direct and inverse proportions, which is the 11th chapter in 8th standard mathematics subject. So in this particular chapter, you have two parts which I have uploaded in this particular YouTube channel. So in my first part, I was explaining about direct proportions, and I also solved the exercise 11.1 questions. So in this particular video, this is the part 2 video of this particular chapter. So in this part, I will be teaching inverse proportions and I will be solving the exercise 11.2 which is there in this particular chapter. So if you refer my previous video, there I have actually explained you how direct proportions actually work. So here also inverse proportion means also there is certain relationship between two physical quantities. So in my previous video I was explaining about direct proportionality, and in this particular video I am explaining on inverse proportionality. So in direct proportion, when you take two physical quantities, so there will be increase in one particular physical quantity when there is increase in other physical quantity. Similarly, in inverse proportionality, in the same rate, decrease will be there in one particular physical quantity when one particular physical quantity, the corresponding physical quantity is increasing. So if I take two physical quantities A and B, so let's say A is one particular physical quantity and B is one particular physical quantity. So this particular A will decrease as this particular B increase, and there will be a proportionality constant which will actually say the relationship between these two particular physical quantities. So let's say X is one physical quantity and Y is another physical quantity. So if you want to see how this particular X is actually related with the other physical quantity Y, then in direct proportionality, this X will be directly proportional to Y. So this symbol I have explained you. This symbol explains direct proportionality between two physical quantities. Let's say X and Y. So for inverse proportional, the same symbol, if you write it in the reverse order, then it is actually inversely proportional. So like this. So this is actually the symbol for inversely proportional, or you can actually write it as X is directly proportional to 1 by Y. So here in directly proportional, X was directly related to Y. In inverse proportional, X is directly related to the inverse of Y, or simply you can tell X is inversely proportional to Y. So here X is directly proportional to 1 by Y, or X is inversely proportional to Y. So inversely proportional means if you have X1, X2, X3 values like this, so you have different X values. Similarly, you have different Y values, Y2, Y3 like this. So here the variation of one particular physical quantity will happen at the same rate, and the variation of another physical quantity also happens in same rate, but they are inversely related to each other. In directly proportional, when one particular physical quantity was increasing at a constant rate, the other physical quantity was also increasing at the same rate. So in inversely proportional, when X reduces or when X decreases, then Y will increase, or when X increases, Y will go on reducing. So let us take one particular example for this. So let us compare two different physical quantities. So one physical quantity which I am considering is speed, and the other physical quantity which I am considering is time. And let's suppose say there is 10 kilometer of distance. So if 10 kilometer of distance is there and the speed is 10 kilometer per hour, means the time taken to cover this 10 kilometer will be 1 hour, because in 1 hour, because the speed is 10 kilometer per hour, so to cover 10 kilometer distance 1 hour time will be taken. So now if speed is increased to 20 kilometer per hour, then the time will be reduced to 30 minutes, or you can say half hour, 0.5 hour, or 30 minutes. So when the speed is increased, then the time taken to cover the same 10 kilometer distance is going on reducing. So now if the speed is increased to 40 kilometer per hour, then the time taken will be 0.25 hour or 15 minutes. So here you can clearly see there is increase in one particular physical quantity and decrease in other physical quantity. Because here, as speed went on increasing, the time which is consumed to cover that much particular distance is going on reducing. So initially the time was 1 hour, then it got reduced to 0.5 hour, then it got reduced to 0.25 hour as speed went on increasing from 10 to 20, 20 to 40. So here you can clearly see some kind of relationship between speed and time, but that relationship is actually inversely proportional. So here x1, if it is 10 kilometer per hour, and if x2 is actually equal to 20, and if x3 is actually equal to 40, then y1 is actually equal to 60 minutes. Let me put this in minutes. Y2 will be equal to 30 minutes, Y3 will be equal to 15 minutes. So now here this particular X and this particular Y is actually varying in a certain fashion. So that is actually they are varying inversely. So X is directly proportional to 1 by Y, or X is inversely proportional to Y. So here when we want to establish a relationship between X and Y, then you should remove this proportionality constant and you should actually equate it with an equal sign by putting a proportionality constant, which actually tells the inverse proportionality between X and Y. So at that time you can put K as the proportionality constant and K by Y will be equal to X. So now you can bring this Y to LHS, it will become XY is equal to K. In the case of directly proportional, it was actually X directly proportional to Y. When you put constant, it was actually K into Y. So X by Y was actually equal to the proportionality constant K. So if you want to have an understanding of proportionality constant, then please refer my previous video. I have explained why proportionality constant is coming to give a relationship between those two physical quantities. So here these two physical quantities X and Y are inversely proportional. So that's why Y will be there in the denominator. So when you bring that Y to LHS, it will become X into Y, that is actually equal to proportionality constant K. That means if you multiply corresponding X and Y values, then it should go on giving same results. Then that is actually equal to one particular constant value. So that will be the proportionality constant for that inversely proportional two physical quantities. So here in this particular example, we have x1 as 10 and y1 as 60. We will multiply those two corresponding terms. So x1 into y1 will be 10 km per hour into 60 minutes. So what is 10 into 60? 10 into 60 is 600. Now let us take x2 into y2. So x2 is 20, y2 is actually 30. So 20 into 30 means 2 3s are 6, 2 zeros are there. So 2 zeros we have to put here. Again we are getting 600. So next x3 into y3 will be 40 into 15. What is 15 into 4? 15 into 4 is 60 and one more 0 is there. So 600. So here you can clearly see when you multiply corresponding x and y values like x1 into y1, x2 into y2, x3 into y3, you are getting the same number 600. So that's why whenever you are multiplying corresponding x and y values, you are getting same number, that is known as constant. Why it is known as constant? Because that doesn't change. See, here also you have 600, here also you have 600, here also you have 600. So that means this 600 is not changing. So when you are multiplying two x and y, corresponding x and y values, then it will be equal to one particular value. So any x you can take, x1 y1, x2 y2, x3 y3, x4 y4. So corresponding x and y values if you are multiplying, you will be getting the same number. So that's why it is known as constant, and it is establishing the proportionality relation between two physical quantities, that is x and y. Hence it is known as proportionality constant. So x into y is equal to a proportionality constant, means x and y are inversely proportional to each other. So this is the explanation for inverse proportion, and if you want explanation for direct proportion, you can refer my previous video for this. So now one thing you should remember in this particular inverse proportion, the equation which you should remember is xy is equal to k, and we know that x1 y1 is equal to 600 in previous example. X2 y2 was also equal to 600. X3 y3 was also equal to 600. That means to one particular constant, this particular corresponding product of x and y is getting equal to. So that means they are all getting equal to a proportionality constant. So that means x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2, x2 y2 is equal to x3 y3. So this is the equation which you should actually remember, and just goes on continuing. x4 y4 x5 y5 will be equal to each other like that. So this is how you should remember the equation. Xy is equal to k, and for directly proportional x by y is equal to k. And I have explained why x by y is equal to k in my previous video, and I have explained here why xy is equal to k, because x and y are inversely related to each other. So now, based on this particular explanation, you have to solve certain exercise problems which are there in 11.2. So if you want to solve that particular exercise 11.2, then you should go through certain examples which are given in this particular chapter. So after going through that examples, you will get an idea how to solve the problem related to inverse proportion. So after solving that particular examples, after having an idea about examples which are discussed in the textbook, you can easily solve the exercise 11.2 question. So now I will be solving exercise 11.2. So solving exercise 11.2 is also similar to solving exercise 11.1. So in exercise 11.1, throughout the exercise you used x by y is equal to k. So that is actually x is equal to ky relation. Based on that relation, you actually established x1 by y1 is equal to x2 by y2 is equal to x3 by y3. Based on that, you calculated different x, y values. Here, in inversely proportional, in exercise 11.2, you should use the equation xy is equal to k, and you should use the relation x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2, and it goes on like this. So this particular relation you will be using in this particular exercise 11.2. Coming to the first question in this particular exercise 11.2, there they have given which of the following are inversely proportional. That means they have given certain set of examples. They have given 5 questions in this particular first question, and you should tell which particular question is actually, or which two physical quantities given in that particular questions are inversely proportional. So you should just tell whether they are inversely proportional or not. So coming to the first question in this particular first question, there they have given the number of works on a job and the time to complete the job. So here two physical quantities are given. Number of workers is one particular physical quantity, and time taken to complete the job. So time taken to complete the job. So these two particular physical quantities they have given in first question. So as the number of workers increase, time taken will get reduced, because when there is two people to complete a particular task or to complete a particular job, they will take certain amount of time. If they have like 4 workers instead of 2 workers, obviously the time taken to complete the same work will get reduced, because 2 people were there initially. Now 2 more people got added for these 2 people. So now in total 4 people are there. So obviously they can finish the job fast. That means they can consume less time to finish the same work. Now if the number of workers is increased by another 4 people, that is like if 8 workers are there, then the same work can be done in much more lesser time. So that means as number of workers is increasing, time taken to complete a particular job will go on reducing. So here also there is inverse proportionality, because one physical quantity is increasing and the other physical quantity is decreasing. So first question is actually inversely proportional. Yes, it is actually inversely proportional. Coming to the second question in this particular first question, here they have given there is uniform speed maintained. So if there is an uniform speed, that means speed never increases or never decreases. It remains constant, and in that particular case, the distance covered and the time taken. So here two physical quantities which they are comparing is distance and time. As distance go on increasing, time will also go on increasing, because speed is constant. So when you are going at a constant speed, and if you are covering 10 kilometer, so let's say you are taking 10 minutes to complete that particular 10 kilometer. Now if I give 20 kilometer distance, then if you are moving with the same uniform speed, then you will take 20 minutes to cover that particular distance. That means as distance is going on increasing, time will also go on increasing, because when there is more distance, then more time you will take to cover that particular distance. So as distance is increasing, time is also increasing. That shows here they are directly related to each other, because speed remains constant. So distance and time are directly proportional to each other in this particular case. Hence, this is not inversely proportional. No. No is the answer. That means this particular second question is not inverse. It is not an example for inverse proportion. Coming to the third question, here also they have asked one particular example. So area required to cultivate a particular crops and crops harvested. So one particular physical quantity is area and the other particular physical quantity is crop harvested. So here obviously when area is more crops can be harvested in that particular area. When area goes on reducing, the amount of crops which you are harvesting in that particular area also goes on reducing. When you have larger area, then you can harvest more plants, you can harvest more crops in that particular area. So that's why area and crop harvested are directly proportional to each other. As area increases, harvesting a particular crop will also get increased. So this is also not an example for inverse proportion. So the answer is no. In fourth question, they are actually asking time taken to cover a fixed distance or a fixed journey and speed of that particular vehicle. So here they are actually covering a particular distance. They are actually doing a particular journey where speed and time should be related each other. So as the speed increases, the time taken to cover the same distance will go on reducing. So let's suppose say there is 60 kilometer distance. Then if you are traveling at 60 km per hour speed, then it will take 60 minutes to cover that particular distance. So now if you increase the speed by twice, that means 120 km per hour if you are traveling in that particular distance, then same 60 km you can cover in 30 minutes. Just like I took one example before solving this exercise, there also I compared speed and time. So as speed increases, to cover a particular fixed distance, time will go on reducing. Or as the speed reduces, time taken for covering that particular distance will increase. That means if one is reducing, one is increasing. Or if one is increasing, then one is reducing. That means time and speed are inversely related to each other in this particular fourth question. So the answer will be yes. Yes, this particular fourth question is an example for inverse proportions. Coming to the fifth question, here they are actually asking the population of a country and area per person, not area per person. That means how much area one particular person will get. So population is one particular physical quantity and area per person, it is not just area, it is area per person is one particular physical quantity. As population of a country goes on increasing, then area per person will go on reducing. Why? Because when there is 100 people living in 1 square kilometer area, then one person will actually own part of area in that 1 square kilometer area. Now, if 1000 people are staying in same 1 square kilometer area, then part of area owning by each person will go on reducing, because now population is increasing means land remains same, the total area remains same. So the person, like area for one person will go on reducing, because now let us take an example of apple. Now if I want to share this apple with 5 people, then I have to make 5 pieces. Now 5 pieces means you are getting little bit more apple. Now if there are 10 people around me and I have to distribute this particular one apple to all 10 peoples, then I have to cut this apple into 10 equal pieces. That means when 5 people were there, the amount of apple which each person was getting is different. Now the same apple I have to distribute for 10 people. That means amount of apple will reduce for each person. So here also the area will reduce for each person as the population increases. So that means one is increasing and one is decreasing. So population and area per person will be inversely proportional to each other. So here also yes is the answer. That means this particular fifth question is also example for inverse proportion. So in this particular first question, fourth question and fifth question are inversely proportional. And second question and third question in this particular first question are not inversely proportional. So coming to the second question in this particular exercise 11.2, here a particular 1 lakh prize money is distributed among certain players. So if number of players go on increasing, then the prize money distributed among those players will go on reducing. So here they have given a table. Here number of winners is one particular physical quantity. So I'll write number of winners and prize for each winner. So prize money distributed for each other. So here if one particular person is there, then he will get all 1 lakh rupees for him only, because there is only one person in this particular team. So if the team contains two people, then they have to share money between them. So each of them will get 50,000, 50,000. Now if three people or four people are there in this particular team, then how much will be the money they have to share with each other? So if 5 people are there, then how much each person will get? If 8 person are there, then how much money they will get? Each of the person will get. And if 10 people are there and if 20 people are there, how much they will go on getting? So here this particular 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, you can take it as x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6, x7. Similarly, here also this 1 lakh will be y1, this 50,000 will be y2, this is y3, this is y4, this is y5, this is y6 and this is y7. So here you should actually tell what kind of proportionality this particular two physical quantities are obeying. They are actually inversely proportional to each other, because as number of winners is going on increasing or the number of players is going on increasing, the prize money distributed between them will go on reducing. So here you can see when one person was there, 1 lakh money he used to get. When two persons are there, then only 50,000 are getting, like each of the players are getting 50,000. If 4 people are there, then each of the person are getting, you should calculate that, that is y3 value. So here clearly you can notice that these two physical quantities are inversely proportional to each other. So in this particular case, we have to use this particular equation, that is x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2, because xy is actually equal to k in case of inverse proportionality. So similarly, you can draw another equation, x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2, that is also equal to x3 y3. So here we know x1, we know y1, we know x3, but we don't know y3. So here also y3 will be equal to x1 y1 divided by x3. So here x1 and y1 are 1 into 1 lakh and x3 is actually equal to 4. So 1 lakh you should actually divide by 4. So that will be equal to 25,000. So the answer for y3 is 25,000. Similarly, you can find out y4. So how to find out y4? Again, you can actually equate that to x1 y1. So x1 y1 will be equal to x4 y4 as well. So y4 will be equal to, if you bring this x4 to LHS, it will become x1 y1 by x4, or y4 will be equal to x1 y1 by x4. So x1 y1 divided by x4. So what is x1 y1? That is again 1 into 1 lakh divided by x4. x4 is actually equal to 5. So 1 lakh divided by 5 means y4 will be equal to 1 lakh divided by 5. So 5 ones are 5 twos are. So it will be 20,000. So y4 value is 20,000. Similarly, you can find out y5, y6, y7 values. So coming to third question, here also they are asking a particular question. Here also they have given a table and you have to fill that particular table. Here one particular student is actually trying to keep a different number of spokes in a wheel. So let's assume this is a wheel. Then he is actually keeping the spokes like 4 spokes. So if he is keeping 4 spokes, there will be certain angle between each spokes. Like this will be one angle, this will be other angle, this will be other, and this will be other angle. So there are 4 different angles in this particular wheel. So here there is an angle creation between 2 different spokes. So these angles should be equal to each other. So for example, if he is putting 4 spokes in this particular wheel, then all 4 angles should be equal. He should put that particular spokes in such a way that all 4 angles between all 4 spokes should be equal to each other. So here in this fashion, if we actually arranges these spokes, then it will be equal to 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree. So now here number of spokes is actually one particular physical quantity, and the angle which is maintaining between 2 spokes in that particular wheel is another physical quantity. So if 4 spokes are there, then 90 degree is the angle which we can maintain between those four spokes in that particular wheel. Now, if number of spokes, if we increase us to 6, then the angle will reduce to 60 degree, because he has to divide, because one complete circle means 360 degree. So 360 degrees fixed. Now, if 6 spokes are there, then there are 6 different angles creating between 2 spokes consecutively. So that means here he should actually divide the angle 360 degree in equal angles between all 6 spokes. So 360 degree divided by 6 will be 60 degree. So here angle between each spokes will be 60 degree. Here angle between each spokes will be 90 degree, because 360 divided by 4 will be 90. And now if the number of spokes is 8, then what will be the angle? So always you should remember the angles between two spokes throughout the spokes in that particular wheel should be equal to each other. Now if he has increased the number of spokes to 10 and if he has increased the number of spokes to 12, then what will be the angle between each spoke? That you should actually go on calculating. Here you can clearly see when the number of spokes is increasing, then the angle between each spoke is actually getting reduced, because from 4 to 6 the number of spokes is increasing, but the angle from 4 to 6 is actually decreasing. That means the angle between each spokes is going on decreasing. So here you should actually calculate y3, y4, y5. If you consider this as x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, here this will be y1, y2, y3, y4, y5. So now it is similar to the second question only. Here also you should take the same equation, x1, y1 is equal to x2, y2. That is actually equal to x3, y3. Like this particular equation goes on. So now you should actually find out y3. So we will take these two equations. So x1, y1 will be equal to x3, y3. So you know what is the value for x1, you know what is the value for y1, you know what is the value for x3. You should find out y3. So here y3 will be equal to x1 into y1 divided by x3. So what is x1? Because you are bringing this particular x3 to the other side of the equality symbol, so it will go to the denominator. So that's why it will be x1 y1 divided by x3. So what is x1 and y1? x1 is 4, y1 is 90 degree, divided by x3 is actually equal to, here you can see x3 is 8 divided by 8. So here 90 degree is there. So 4 1s are 4 2s are 8, 2 1s are 2 45s are 90. So it is 45 degree. So the y3 value here is 45 degree. Similarly, now if you want to find out y4, again you should actually take x1 y1 is equal to x4 y4. So here y4 will be equal to x1 y1 divided by x4. So what is x1? x1 is actually equal to 4 and y1 is actually 90 degree, divided by x4. We actually know that value, so that is actually equal to 10. 2 2s are 4, 2 5s are 10, 5 1s are 5, 5 1s are 5, 4 will be remaining 40, 8s are 40. So 18 degree. So 2 into 18 degree will be 36 degree. So y4 will be equal to 36 degree. So this is the answer for y4. Similarly, you can find out y5 value in this particular third question. Coming to the 3 questions which they have given in this particular third question. Here, first question in third question, they are asking whether this particular number of spokes and angle is inversely proportional or not. Here you can clearly see x1 was equal to 4, y1 was equal to 90 degree and x2 was equal to 6. So y2 was equal to 60 degree. Similarly, x3 was equal to 8, y3 was equal to 45 degree. So let us take these 3 values of x and y. Now x1 y1 is actually equal to 4 into 90 degree. So 4 into 90 degree is actually equal to 360 degree, and x2 into y2 is actually equal to 6 into 60 degree, that is actually 360 degree. x3 into y3 is also equal to 8 into 45 degree, 8 into 45 degree is again 360 degree. So here you can clearly see the x1 y1, x2 y2, x3 y3 values are getting equal to one particular constant. That means x and y are inversely proportional. So in first question, the answer for first question is that here number of spokes and angle created between those number of spokes is actually inversely proportional to each other. Coming to the second question in this particular third question, here they are actually asking what if 15 spokes are there, then how much will be the angle between each spoke will be there. So here we know when 4 spokes was there at that particular time, the angle between each spoke was 90 degree. So here x1 was equal to 4, y1 was equal to 90 degree. Now you have to calculate 15. So let us take this as x6 value, that is actually 15 spokes, and now you should calculate how much angle will be there between each spokes. So here y6 we don't know. So we know that x1 y1 is equal to x6 y6. Why I am taking x6 and y6? Because in this question itself we have solved till x5. So 15 spokes I am putting it as x6. So now you should actually find out y6. So y6 will be equal to x1 y1 divided by x6. y6 is actually equal to x1 y1. x1 is 4, y1 is actually 90 degree, because when 4 spokes is there, 90 degree will be there as the angle between each spokes, like between 2 consecutive spokes. So here divided by x6. What is x6? We have to calculate for 15 spokes. So 15 is the x6 value. So now 4 into 90 degree divided by 15. So 5 3s are 15, 5 1s are 5, 5 8s are 40. So 18 degree will be remaining. Here 3 1s are 3 6s are 18 degree. So 6 degree will be remaining. So 6 into 4, 6 4s are 24 degree. So when 15 spokes are there in this particular wheel, then the angle between 2 consecutive spokes will be equal to 24 degree. Coming to the third question in this particular third question, here they have asked the reverse value. Here they have already given the angle. If 40 degree is the angle between 2 spokes, then how many spokes will be fit in that particular wheel? So here we know that x1 is actually equal to 4, y1 is actually equal to 90 degree. Now we have taken 15 spokes as x6 and we have calculated y6. Now let us take this 40 degree as y7 value and let's check what is x7 value. That means how much spokes is required if 40 degree is maintained as the angle between 2 spokes. So here x1 y1 will be equal to x7 y7. So here x1 is 4, y1 is 90 degree. So here you should actually find out x7 value. So y7 you can bring to LHS. When you bring that to LHS, it will go to denominator. So x1 is 4, y1 is 90 degree. So 4 into 90 degree divided by y7 is equal to x7. So 4 into 90 degree divided by y7. y7 is 40 degree. So here 40 degree and 90 degree is there. 0 0 gets cancelled each other. 4 and 4 gets cancelled each other. Only 9 will be remaining. So here also in denominator degree is there. In numerator also degree is there. So degree will be removed because degree by degree is there. So 9 spokes you should actually put to get 40 degree as the angle between each consecutive spokes. So if you are maintaining 40 degree between each consecutive spokes, then 9 spokes you can actually fit in this particular wheel. So the answer is 9. Coming to the fourth question, in a box there is certain number of sweets, and if that sweets is distributed among 24 children, then each children will get 5 sweets. So here one particular physical quantity is number of children is one particular physical quantity, and each children, like number of sweets which each children are getting. So number of sweets per children is another physical quantity. Here when number of children were equal to 24, at that time they were getting 5 sweets each, is reduced by 4 number. That means 24 minus 4, that will be 20. Then how much sweets each student will be getting, or each child will be getting? So that is the question which they are asking. This 24 you can keep it as x1. Here you can clearly see when the number of students go on reducing or the number of children go on reducing, number of sweets which each children get will increase, because if let's say 10 sweets are there and if you are distributing among 5 children, then each will get 2 sweets. Now if only 2 children are there and 10 sweets is there, then each will get 5. That means when number of children is going on reducing, number of sweets getting by each child so will be going on increasing. So here 24 children were there and after that 20 children were there. So each were getting 5 sweets in the first case. What will be the number of sweets getting by each child in the second case when the number is reduced by 4? So here 24 will be x1, 5 will be y1, 20 will be x2, and we have to find out what is y2 value. So here also this is inversely proportional. So x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So x1 is 24, y1 is actually equal to 5, x2 is actually equal to 20, y2 is actually we don't know what is y2. So we'll bring this 20 to LHS, it will go to the denominator. So y2 will be equal to 24 into 5 divided by 20. I'm just interchanging LHS and RHS. So when 20 comes to the other side of equality symbol, it will go to denominator. So 5 ones are 5 fours are 20, 4 ones are 4, 6 are 24. So 6 sweets each children will be getting if the number of children from 24 it got reduced to 20. So 6 sweets is the answer for this particular fourth question. Coming to the fifth question, a farmer has 20 animals. So number of animals is one particular physical quantity and food lasting days. That means how much days food which he has to feed that particular animals will last. So that is actually 6 days. So if he has 20 animals, then the food which he has, he can feed all those 20 animals for 6 days. Now, if the number of animals increases, that means he has to feed 10 more animals along with this particular 20 animals. That means he has to feed 30 animals with the same amount of food which he has. That means how much days he can actually feed those particular 30 animals. So here also number of days will go on reducing because here days is the second physical quantity because number of days goes on reducing. So the food will not last for longer days. So the food which lasts for certain period of time will go on reducing because the number of animals who are actually feeding on this particular food is going on increasing. So if it is increased to 30, what will be the number of days? So here also this is inversely proportional. You can use the equation x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2. So this days, this number of animals you can take as x1 and x2, and this particular number of days you can take as y1 and y2. So in exam you should actually carefully look whether these two physical quantities are directly proportional or inversely proportional. Here I am solving exercise 11.2, so that's why you are actually getting an idea that I am solving inversely proportional. But in exam they may give directly proportional or inversely proportional question. So you should be carefully looking at the physical quantities and you should imagine if the other physical quantity is increasing with one increase in another physical quantity. So if one particular physical quantity is increasing and the other is also increasing, then it is directly proportional. And you should also see whether they are equal to a particular constant or not, like x1 by y1 is equal to x2 by y2 is equal to x3 by y3 or not. And in inversely proportional, you should check whether one physical quantity is increasing and the other physical quantity is decreasing or not. And you should also check whether they are equal to one particular constant, like x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2 is equal to x3 y3. So like this you should apply your logical analysis and then you should decide whether these two physical quantities are directly related to each other or inversely related to each other. So based on that you should actually solve the problem. So here this is actually inversely proportional. So x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So here x1 is 20, y1 is 6, x2 is 30, y2 we don't know. So y2 will be equal to, if you bring 30 to the other side of the equality symbol, it will go to the denominator. So divided by 30. Here 0 0 gets cancelled. 2 here 6 3 ones are 3 2s are 6. So here 2 will be remaining as it is. So 2 into 2 will be 4. So 4 days will be remaining. That means if number of animals is increased by 30, then the food which he has will last only for 4 days. So coming to the sixth question in this particular exercise, there are 3 persons who are actually wiring a particular house. So they are taking 4 days to complete the job. So now if 4 persons are there, then in how many days they will complete the job? So obviously when number of workers increases, the days which they are consuming to complete the same work will go on reducing. So here also it is inversely proportional. So here let us take this 3 and 4 as x1 and x2 and this 4 days as y1, and we have to calculate how many days if 4 persons are working. So now here x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So what is x1? x1 is actually 3, y1 is actually 4 and x2 is also 4 and y2 we don't know. So we can bring this 4 to LHS or to the other side of equality symbol. So that will go to denominator. So y2 will be equal to 3 into 4 divided by 4. 4 gets cancelled. 3 days will be remaining. Number of person is increased by 4. That means instead of 3%, 4 persons are working. Then they can complete the same job in 3 days. So 3 is the answer for the 6th question. So coming to the 7th question. So in 7th question, there is certain number of bottles and 12 bottles are actually kept in one particular box. So to keep all those bottles, they are actually consuming 25 boxes. So there are 12 bottles in each box. So 12 bottles per box. Then 25 boxes are required to fill entire bottles which they have. Now if they are actually putting 20 bottles per box, then how much box do they require? So the number of boxes will reduce because more bottles are going in one particular box means the number of box required will be going on reducing. So here also it is inversely proportional. So this 12 and 20 you can take as x1 and x2, and this 25 boxes you can take as y1, and you should actually find out y2 how many boxes is required. So x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So here x1 y1 is actually 12 into 25 is equal to x2 is 20 into y2. So you can bring this 20 to the other side of equality symbol. So that will go to the denominator. So y2 will be equal to 12 into 25 divided by 20. So 2 6s are 12, 2 10s are 20, 5 2s are 10, 5 5s are 25, 2 1s are 2, 2 3s are 6. So 5 into 3 will be remaining, 5 3s are 15. So 15 boxes. So if they are filling 20 bottles in one particular box, then they require only 15 boxes to keep all the bottles. So if they are keeping 12 bottles per box, then they require 25 boxes, which is given in the question. So if they are keeping only 20 bottles rather than 12 bottles, then they require only 15 boxes to fill all those bottles, like to keep all those bottles. So 15 boxes is the answer for 7th question. Coming to the 8th question, here 42 machines are required to actually print a particular number of articles in 63 days. So how much machines is required to complete the same number of articles in 54 days itself? That means number of machines should be increased, because to print the same number of articles they are taking 63 days using 42 machines. But now if they want to reduce the amount of time from 63 days to 54 days, then they require more machines. More than 42 machines is required. That you should find out how much machines they actually require. So here 42 will be x1, for this particular question mark will be x2, and 63 will be y1 and 54 will be y2. Now you should calculate x2. Here also it is inversely proportional, because as machines increases, so the number of days taken to complete a particular task or to print a particular number of articles will go on reducing. So number of days will be going on reducing as machines increases. So this is also inversely proportional. So x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So we have to find out x2. So x1 is 42 machines into 63 days is equal to x2. We have to calculate y2 is actually 54 days. When you bring this 54 to the other side of other side of equality symbol, then it will be going to denominator. So that will be equal to 42 into 63 divided by 54. So now you can solve this. So when you solve this, you will get 49 as answer. So 49 is the answer for this 8th question. So coming to 9th question, here a car takes 2 hours to reach a destination in, if it is traveling at 60 km per hour speed. Now if this particular car is actually traveling at 80 km per hour, then in how much time this can actually reach the destination? So here also when the speed increases, the time consumed to reach the destination will go on reducing, because speed is increasing means within lesser time you will go and reach the destination. So here also this is inversely proportional. So this is x1, this will be x2, this will be y1 and this will be y2. So here x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So x1 is actually 2 hours into 60 km per hour is equal to x2 is actually we don't know into y2 will be 80 km per hour. So you can bring this 80 to the other side of equality symbol. So x2 will be equal to 2 into 60. It will go to denominator. So 80 will be in the denominator. So 0 0 cancels. 2 1s are 2, 4s are 8. Here 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6. So here you will get 3 by 2 as answer. So if you convert this 3 by 2 to mixed fractions, then it will be equal to 1 by 2. So, or you can actually tell 3 by 2 hours or 1 by 2 hours. So that is actually 1.5 hours. So you can keep the answer as 1 by 2 or 1.5 hours or 3 by 2 hours. So this is the answer for 9th question. So coming to the 10th question, two persons can fit a particular window in 3 days. Then if one particular person fell sick, that is the first question in this particular 10th question. If one person fell ill, then only one person will come to the job. So in how much time one person can complete the same job? So how many days he can take to complete the same job? Coming to the second question in this particular 10th question, here they are actually asking if the work is just completed in one day itself, then how many person would have been worked in this particular job? So here number of persons will be x1, x2, x3 and number of days will be y1, y2 and y3. Here also you can see when number of persons increases, the time taken to complete the same job will go on reducing. Because if 2 persons are there means in 3 days only they can complete job. If the number of person is increased or decreased, then number of days will be increased or decreased. If more person are there means they can do the same job in less number of time. So time goes on reducing. Number of days goes on reducing. So here also this is inversely proportional. You can directly take this particular equation x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2 is equal to x3 y3. So to solve this first question, let us take x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2. So here when you take x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2, here we know x1 is actually equal to 2 persons and y1 is actually equal to 3 days. That is equal to x2 is actually 1 person and we have to calculate how many days will be taken by 1 person. So that is actually y2. So when you bring the other side of equality symbol, that will be equal to 2 into 3 divided by 1. That is actually 3 2s are 6. So 6 days he will be taking. So 6 days is the answer for first question. Coming to the second question in this particular same 10th question, then here you should take x1 y1 is equal to x3 y3 because here you should actually find out x3 value. So here x1 is actually equal to 2, y1 is actually equal to 3 days, that is equal to x3 you have to find out, y3 is 1 day because in 1 day only you should actually finish. So when you bring this 1 to the other side, then this particular question mark will be x3. So x3 will be equal to 2 into 3 divided by 1. So 3 2s are 6 persons are required. So 6 days is the answer for first question. 6 persons is the answer for second question in this particular 10th question. So coming to the 11th question, in a school there are 8 periods. So in that 8 periods, each period will last for 45 minutes. Now in the same given number of hours of a school, if you are actually converting this 8 periods to 9 periods, then what will be the duration of each period? So if it was 8 periods, then 45 minutes was the duration of each period. Then if it is converted to 9 periods, 8 is converted to 9 periods, then how much time each period will last for? So here you can see as the number of periods increases, the time getting for each period will go on reducing. So this is also inversely proportion. So this you can take as x1, this you can take as x2, this as y1, and you have to find out what is y2. So x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So what is x1? 8 persons. What is y1? 45 minutes. Is equal to what is x2? x2 is 9 into y2. You should actually find out. When you bring 9 to the other side of equality symbol, that will be equal to y2 is equal to 8 into 45 divided by 9. So 9 ones are 9 5s are 45. 8 into 5 will be 40 minutes. So 40 minutes. Each period will be having 40 minutes so that 9 periods can be fit in the same school hours. So 40 minutes is the answer for 11th question. So this is all there in this particular part 2 video. So if you want to understand direct and inverse proportions properly, then you should go through both part 1 and part 2 video which I have uploaded in this particular YouTube channel. So when you go through both part 1 and part 2 videos, then you will clearly understand direct and inverse proportion. That is the 11th chapter of 8th standard mathematics subject. So like this, if you want to learn more physics, chemistry and mathematics related to 8th standard, 9th standard, 10th standard, 11th and 12th standard, then you should subscribe to my channel. Please do subscribe to my channel and stay tuned with my YouTube channel. Thank you.